This is the trampoline I grew up with over 20 years ago. Today we're replacing it with this top-of-the-line Zupapa trampoline that's been upgraded in every way possible for 2023. Let's get this old one out of the way and cue the unboxing montage. If we haven't met yet, what's up? I'm Jeff, and this is Fun-Sized Adventures, where we help you and your family build some fun in your own backyard. A big thank you to Zupapa Trampolines for sending us the trampoline featured in this video. For more information or to buy one of your own, check out the link in the video description. So these boxes were the perfect size that I could probably ship my kids back to them if I chose to. So Zupapa sells several trampolines, and I didn't know which one they were sending me until right now. Seems to be that sort of one. Instructions is actually for several different trampolines, so I still am not sure how big this is. Anyway, let's see what's in the boxes. This trampoline came in 3 different boxes. Box 1 had the jumping surface, a bunch of poles for the legs, cool carrying bag, some grippy socks, and gloves. I'm assuming the gloves are for assembly, but maybe they're for fashion. Some connectors there, some stakes to keep it from blowing away in the wind. Box 2 had a pad that goes over the springs, some more parts of the legs, some of the rim that the spring's attached to, some springs, pieces to build a ladder, this little mat which goes under the ladder for you to take your shoes off on. And then box 3 had all the poles that hold up the enclosure. Not sure what this is yet. 2 more bags of springs, a bunch of connectors here in this bag, and then the safety enclosure net. And it looks like my dad is just finishing up taking apart the old one. Look how strong he is. Then the instruction bag also had a couple spring pulling tools and some more hardware and a screwdriver and a zip tie. Some of you may have noticed we're not actually in my backyard today. We are in my parents' backyard because they have the same trampoline that I grew up using as a kid here in their backyard. The grandkids have been using it, but it's getting to that point in its life where it's just not that safe anymore. My mom is a nervous wreck whenever the grandkids bounce on it. To help my kids and all their cousins when they're here playing have a safe, fun time, we decided that this would be a good home for the new trampoline. The old trampoline is officially out of here. Let's get assembling. Step 1, we're gonna lay out the frame. I think we're going by this diagram, judging by the amount of pieces we have over here. So we're gonna lay everything out like that. There's these little no-slip feet that go on there that would do something if we were putting this on some slipperier surface like pavement, but that's not gonna be an issue here. Next step, slide the vertical legs onto the bottom of the legs. Step 3, connect the legs with this assembly. So we got one section like this. Now, according to the instructions, we're going to build another section like this and then tie it all together. We now have 2 assembled. So far, still very easy, but I know from experience that it's going to be the last connections that are going to give the most trouble. So that was all very painless. My previous trampoline was not that easy to put together. So that is very good. So next we need the mat and spring. Step 4, wear heavy-duty gloves. You don't want to pinch your hand on the springs. And make sure the mat is laid with all the warning labels facing up. So our springs have one end that's curlier than the other. This one's gonna go in here onto that, and then this is gonna get hooked right up into there. And then we need to go directly across, which this trampoline has 108 springs. So we want to count from here up to 54 and then put that one over there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135,
49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. How did you do that?
Because I'm old and wise.
So now we want to do the other halfway. So what's half of 54?
27.
Good job. Next 4 springs should be right in the middle. All right, so we just keep dividing that in half and in half and in half until all the springs are attached. All right, so that went mostly the way the instructions said. Things are always a little bit fuzzy when you're dealing with kids helping, and I didn't use gloves. Safety dad would not approve, but he's not here. I wonder where he is today.
It's good to have a day off. I sure hope Jeff's not doing anything dangerous.
All right, next step. Frame and pad assembly. Grab that. You guys help Grandpa with that. So that just lays there. It doesn't have any connectors on it because this apron that's connected to the jumping surface is going to fold down over it and hold that in place. There's not much left for me to do when I have so many helpers. Ooh, that new trampoline smell. Net and poles assembly. 2 adults in good physical condition are required for the following assembly. Grandpa, are either of us in good physical condition?
When we started, we were.
Just to get it out of your system, you can each jump for a few seconds. There.
And it's stretched out more.
Miles, careful, please. Step 6, we're attaching the one with the foot to the one that doesn't have the foot.
Hey, Mama! Look at these two!
And plug it together. Got it. Place the safety enclosure mesh on the trampoline, tidy and ready for the next step. All right, so we have to take the poles with the foam on them and slide into sleeves that are on this mesh. It was a little difficult getting those slid in, but it eventually got a little bit easier. There's nothing I could tell you that's going to make it easier for you. It's just kind of working it and jamming it around until finally you can get the foam all the way to the end. Because the problem is the seal pipe gets to the end and then the foam had slid down a little bit and you just kind of have to just work at it till it gets all the way up there and it's not sticking out the bottom here. So then we've got these connectors, whoops, oh dear, which are going to fall on the floor, which are what hold these poles to the uprights on the trampoline. Is that the tool?
Just to tighten it.
Okay, it looks like a little gear, but that's the little wrench to... All right, that's fairly easy to do if you have 2 people, and we should have no trouble getting the rest on. We'll skip ahead till then. So that continued on pretty easy. A couple things though is that the last couple were a little bit difficult because you had the weight of the net and everything kind of tugging the pole to the side. It was a little bit harder to hold it upright, but not that much harder. And then this little bolt driver, nut driver thing worked, but you could tell towards the end it was wearing down and it was a little bit difficult. So if you had a ratchet lying around, that would be the easier way to do it. But this got you by. Next step, assemble the ladder, which at this point I almost don't want to do because we've been working on this for a couple hours now. But for the sake of doing the video, we're gonna do it. Let's do another time lapse. All right, that was surprisingly pain-free. Everything's been going so smoothly. I thought something would give us trouble, but it took about 5 minutes. So that is getting hooked on the frame. Yeah, you got it. Boom. They're supposed to like crisscross and attach underneath. I think the key is that so that the bottom of the zipper aren't being splayed apart. And now attach the remaining safety enclosure mesh hooks. We have this mat here that goes near the bottom of the ladder to put your shoes off. So I don't know if like the grass is wet or something, it's a good spot to keep your shoes.
Yeah, but then your shoes are all wet and then your shoes...
And then your shoes make the hat wet, but they don't make the trampoline wet. That's what's important, Cal. Congratulations, you are finished assembling the trampoline. A couple other things that it did come with that we're not going to use today. These are stakes where you can hook over the bottom rail and stab them into the ground with a rubber mallet to keep your trampoline from blowing away in high winds. Also came with this, which is a rain cover that goes over the trampoline, but not necessarily in this setup, because if the enclosure safety net is up, then you can't put this on. So here we have it, the upgraded for 2023 Zupapa trampoline in all of its glory. Now it's time to bounce. So all told, that took my dad and I about 3 hours to put up, but that's including taking down the old trampoline and all the things involved in trying to film this video. So 2 adults should be able to do it in 2 hours or less. And then the more times you do it, the faster you'll get. So if you take it down each year and put it back up, I'm sure you'll get pretty good at it. As far as the actual process, everything went together very smoothly. I feel like a lot of my experience in the past with things like this, you have something that shouldn't be a big thing, like 2 little holes lining up, you have to put a bolt through, becomes a giant pain in the neck, and and hours of dealing with it, but we ran into no issues like that with this. Everything seemed to be machined properly and to a good quality. I like how the jumping surface is attached to that fabric that covers the mat that goes over the top of the springs. I feel like that's probably a good safety feature. And I also like how you can just unhook a few hooks around the edge of the enclosure net in order to like rake leaves out or anything like that if leaves get in there. As far as winterizing it goes, the trampoline I have at home, I take all of the fabric-y type items like the safety enclosure, the bouncing mat, and all that off. With this, it seems like there's no way to get all that stuff off without having to undo these uprights for the safety enclosure, and so it's going to be a little bit more work from that perspective. Another thing I do like is how the safety enclosure is pushed to the outside of the springs, which kind of gives you a little bit more of a roomy feeling on the inside, as opposed to when the safety enclosure comes to the inside edge of the springs, and it kind of brings each wall in and it makes you feel a little bit more claustrophobic in there. As far as is it worth the money? If you look at the price point of this trampoline, it seems to be quite a bit more than your bare bones trampoline. And I think number one, it does come with, from what I can tell, a much higher grade materials in the metal used, the fabrics used. Everything seems to be super high quality. Then they also throw in a lot of the little extra stuff that you might not expect, like a couple pairs of trampoline socks, some work gloves to keep your hands safe while putting it together. There was even a little travel bag with the Zupapa logo on it. A lot of stuff like that isn't necessary to having a trampoline, but at the same time, neighbor's chickens. When you are buying a higher end product, you'd expect all those little extras that just kind of plus it out. And I think it really just depends, is it gonna stand the test of time? It seems like it should. If this can really withstand all the weather that the coast of Maine here can throw at it for 10 plus years, then it's definitely worth the investment. Some of my other relatives have bought cheaper trampolines, and some of the uprights have bent over in the first season, and that's what happens when you cheap out. So maybe this higher price point is just what is required to get quality materials nowadays. I don't know. The kids definitely seem to enjoy it. They did notice that it seemed a little bit stiffer unbouncing, and that might be partially because it's brand new, also because there is more springs, which is in the long run is a very good thing, but right up front when you first get it out of the box, it makes it a little bit stiffer of a bounce. Remember, if you're interested in purchasing this trampoline, there's links down in the description, take you to the Zupapa website, and if you use the coupon code Jeff5, you'll save 5% off your entire purchase, which will help make this a little bit more affordable for you and your family. But the final test, we need to go check in with my mom. Bubby.
What?
Do you think that this trampoline will help rid you of your anxiety that came from the old one?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm not afraid of your father dying.
All right. So it has the Bubby seal of approval. And if you want to see some more ways to build some backyard fun for your family, check out this video right here. Till next time, get out there and have a fun-sized adventure of your own.